Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. I say special edition because I've been looking forward to this, as I told Bella Maori just a few minutes ago before he went on air. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, only because as I learned about her and read so much on her bio and all her pages, I said, my gosh, there's a lot of commonality here. I mean, and I'm not stretching it. And we'll discover the commonality, the commonality and I wrote it down, with race and animal rights and homelessness and her writing and women's gender. And I'm on the advisory committee of the Women's Health Institute at RWJ Rutgers Medical School. I mean, all of these things, they're precious, wonderful things. And that's wonderful commonality. So, and Bella will tell you all about herself. The official title, and I always like to go over that. The official title of this interview with Bella is, and it's Bella Maori. She's an actress, screenwriter, model, activist, women's rights, animal rights, racial injustice, a PhD candidate in philosophy, and she'll talk all about that because that's hugely important. And I'm done with my monologue. So, Bella, why don't you do a little background, a little history, and then we'll kind of jump into some stuff. Take it away.
All right, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that. And thank you for that great introduction. So just to sort of piggyback off what you just said, yeah, I kind of call myself a Renaissance woman because I'm just interested in so many different things, and I just wanted to contribute so much and leave a legacy before I leave this earth. So I don't really focus on just one thing, and there's just a combination of things that I like to do and accomplish. So I don't know if you wanted me to start off with my educational career.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's mine. I mean, I think it's mind-boggling, the PhD stuff, not easy, but
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. So yeah, I started off, I have a bachelor's of arts in English literature. I'm a literature geek. I have a master's of fine arts in creative writing, in which I wrote a full screenplay for my thesis. And I have a master's in education from USC, in which I guess was interested in teaching at one point, but I sort of changed course on that. And now I'm currently in my last year of my PhD studies in philosophy, in interdisciplinary studies. And I just actually last week turned in my proposal to the committee. So I'm waiting on to hear back from them to see if I can go ahead and defend my proposal and start my research.
Can
So
you
that's
just define interdisciplinary
it's
studies?
interdisciplinary studies. It doesn't focus on one discipline. So basically it kind of crosses different disciplines. So like, for example, I'm in humanities, but I might need to delve into maybe some historical background, or maybe delve into I don't know. I'm not doing this, but maybe there's some economical background in it, or you could just sort of borrow from each discipline and kind of apply that to your research. So you're not just limited to one discipline. That makes it. I know it's a lot to kind of explain, but to make it in simple terms.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, you did, again, the commonality is, you've done women's studies, Black women's identity in media, TV, and film. I'm looking at my notes, and the commonality. I've been involved very actively in the Women's Health Institute, so I kind of understand. Part of your persona is the work that you do in social activism, and women's rights, animal rights, homeless, marginalized people. You want to kind of talk about that?
Yeah, it's exactly, absolutely. I think a lot of the activism that was born from just maybe things that I've gone through as a child, or that I'm passionate about, like homelessness, for instance, is a one big one thing for me. I came from a single parent household where my parents divorced and it was very difficult for my mother. And so there were times where, we didn't have a lot and stuff like that. And I always had a soft spot for people going through that. Also, women, right, and Black women, especially specifically, because I feel like just from my experiences, Black women are sort of silenced and made to be invisible. And I wanted to find a way to bring our voices to, a broader platform, which is in, scholarly, in the scholarly world, as well as, just the regular world, just to show like Black women have issues too. And, it shouldn't be all lumped into one group of women, because it usually is like, white women are usually the face of all women's struggles. And we all know that that's not the case, because each culture, each woman, each race has their own set of uniqueness and set of issues and problems and oppressions, things like that. And so I focus on Black women, of course, obviously because I'm Black, and that's my experience, and the people around me, my family, my peers, and my community. And so that's why I sort of focus on that. So
And you also, the animal rights, we talked about that briefly. Another thing that's been very close to me, I haven't eaten anything with four legs since 1975. That's my commitment to animal rights. So these are, Bella, it's great. These are such great causes in the homelessness. My first 12 years ago, my very first journey into becoming a journalist, spending 5 or 6 days at a pretty substantial homeless encampment where up to 113 people had been living for 12 or 13 years in tents. It was called Tent City. And I live in middle America, middle New Jersey, and the homelessness was a million miles away from me. I had no concept except when I went into Manhattan and I walked by a homeless person living in a cardboard box, and all I saw was a pair of legs sticking out of the box.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a slap in the face, that, that Cher slap in Moonstruck, until I spent 5 or 6 days learning and feeling, and my life had never was the same after that, because I saw there's another part of life. And then I plunged into learning all about hunger, because sometimes they go hand in hand. But so I just think what you do there is commendable and amazing. And again, some of the things that drew me to really wanting to interview you. So, and you've got a lot of homeless stuff in LA.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one of the missions that's really close to my heart is the Fred Jordan mission. It's downtown Los Angeles by Skid Row. And I guess it's so just gut-wrenching to see that, I mean, just like you said, you were in the camp and there's tents, and it's just to see that level of just sadness. And it always just did something to me. And I like to be able to, I don't know, I guess it warms my heart. I know that may be kind of cliche, but I just want to, I'm making some type of difference, And so I like to go down to the Fred Jordan mission and help out there during the holidays. And I can remember being a child, and my mom would take us down there, and we would get like free Christmas trees because we didn't have like a lot. And so that just always stuck with me. And it's just, yeah. I don't want to get all choked up, but
no, I know.
Yeah, but
listen, I think about that all the time.
Yeah, that's something that's really, really resonates with me. Yeah, and then I don't know, I have an affinity for the underdog. I like people who are treated bad. I like people who society shuns and doesn't pay attention to, and I want to help give those people voices. And so that's why I focus on that. With animals, oh my God, I was the kid when I was bringing in like animals. Can we keep them? Can we keep them? The stray dogs and all that, and it sort of just grew on me. I don't like to see animals mistreated. I don't like to see animals caged and shackled or anything like that. I rescue animals. Over the last, I say 5 years, I've rescued several animals and found them homes. I foster animals.
Wow.
I have a dog and cat that I rescued that's here. I even rescued a
Great.
turtle. He's been with me for I think 8 years now.
Wow. That
Yeah.
that's funny. My novel is called Turtle.
Oh,
Uh,
and he's wonderful. I didn't even know how to take care of him. I just was like, oh my God, he needs a home. And so I just figured it out as I go. But yeah, I just feel like I want to just help people that can't help themselves and don't have a voice, you know, for their oppression. Somebody has to be able to speak
yeah,
for them.
we
So
we we collectively, the species, have a lot of work to do.
yeah, absolutely.
We have a lot of work to do. I live with that every day. Gosh, we could, you talk about animals. I interviewed a couple of months ago. Her name's Lori Zaleski. She's kind of like you. She took it to, she's rescued 1,600 animals
Mm,
in and around her farm.
great for her.
It's called Funny Farm Animal Rescue. And she has 1,600 animals roaming around, and half of them live in her house. And she's doing such an amazing job, Lori. We've been friends since she was a teenager. I've been friends with her, and I watched her mother start with 3 or 4 animals, and now that's 1,600. That CBS Sunday Morning spent 2 days and did a feature story on the work she's doing. But that's all under the banner of animal rights, which you do too. Um, so. Moving on, the other aspect to you is your journalism and your writing and the travel stuff. Can you just do a quick montage of
Yeah,
some of the things?
absolutely. Absolutely. When I was doing travel writing, I just wanted to explore different genres, right? Because that's something I never did before. And so what better place to do it than in California, right? In sunny Southern California.
Yes.
And so I just sort of you know, there was a time where an opportunity opened up. Uh and I just started writing for them. I think it was oh my gosh, I can't even remember the name right now because it's been so long ago. And but it was a blog, and it was like a travel blog, and I wrote some articles about like the different places, beaches in LA to go to, and different parts where there's like this city where there's graffiti everywhere, and like it's so cool, like different places like that I've
Wow.
gone and seen and just
Wow.
blew me away. And I just wanted to share those experiences with people who can't go there. So that's being a writer, that's one thing you like to do, is you like to share share worlds, whether they're
Yes.
fictional or not, with people that aren't able to get out and see those things or experience those things. So I was just inspired by growing up, because I'm a California native, so I've gone all over LA County and just traveled all over this town. And so I just decided to just try a different genre, and it was really nice.
Um, it's funny. I never wanted to go to LA growing up, and even in my adult life, because I was afraid if I went to LA, I'd never want to leave. So, but I finally made it out there some years ago. Next, you're also a director, and you did something, and I have to read it: The Disillusion of Pretty Butterflies. And it was social media's psychological effect. And by the way, it's so in the news. It's such an important topic.
Mhm.
Social media psychological effects on Gen Z, millennials, etc., and how it affects self-esteem. So can you talk about that project?
Yes, absolutely. This is so crazy because I think I wrote it in 2014, and
Wow.
the internet was the internet, but it wasn't what it is now in terms of like, people, it's just the narcissism is at a whole nother level. But when I first wanted to write that, I felt like I didn't like social media, because I go on there, and I think it was a time where like people would say, look at me, look at my life, it's so much better than yours. And they would be posting all these luxurious, vacations and stuff, all this stuff. And it would just make other people feel bad. And I was doing some research on it, and I was finding out that there were people killing themselves and committing suicide because they felt like their lives were just so bad, and they couldn't measure up to other people's lives. And then I started to figure out that a lot of things that people post isn't true. It's what they want you to see, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what their life is. It's just a picture of the perfect life that you wish it to be, or I don't know, And so I said, why don't I thought about writing a story about a group of friends that they all were like friends in college or whatever. And then they sort of went their own ways, but they all were like on social media trying to be somebody they weren't. So I think I had a character who was a rap artist. And then I had a character who she was an actress, sort of like a starlet, like a Lindsay Lohan kind of character. And then I had a character who was like a nerdy kind of character. And they all were just sort of gust into this social media phenomenon about, making yourself, better than what you are, and just literally killing yourself in the process. And so one of the girls in the story, she actually commits suicide because she's the one that's an actress, because it's just so overwhelming. She can't keep up with the pace. And so I just wanted to bring that out in the open and let people know, like, the internet is good, but it also can be something dangerous for people in the generation, millennials, and now Generation Z is it's at a whole nother level. And so at the time when I did it, I didn't realize, like, well, where we are now, it's so relevant to what I was trying, the message that I was trying to convey when I was writing that. And it's just amazing, because now everyone's life is just on the internet, and you really don't know what's behind that screen. And so you just look and see the pictures, and this person, they're attractive, or they have so much stuff. And I just want people to know that that's not necessarily true. Don't think their lives are better than yours. Like, everybody has problems. Everybody goes through things, and no one's perfect. And so I just wanted to kind of bring awareness to that whole internet narcissism that was going on, like, starting around 2014.
Just out of curiosity, is there a way for people to see this?
Well, what I did was, it was a test. It was a short film that I did.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it was a script,
okay,
and I directed it, and
okay,
I just went out and did it. It was more like, it wasn't anything that
okay. So it's
major.
okay. So all
But
right,
I actually got more feedback from it as just people reading the story,
okay.
which is great, because I wanted that's what I wanted. I wanted people to see that situation. So yeah, and so I called it The Disillusion of Pretty Butterflies, because well, it's sort of self-explanatory, but there's how butterflies, at first, they have to go into this metamorphosis.
Right.
And so when they finally flourish and they're beautiful and everything, you don't really know what they went through in that cocoon. It was kind of messy and dirty, and and people are sort of
Like
disillusioned
that.
by this idea.
Great premise. I like that. Yeah. Um, off topic. Off topic. I always like to ask this question. It's one of my favorite questions. You don't necessarily have to
Okay.
answer it. You can. And you can answer with one or two or three, whatever. But anyway,
Okay. Okay.
here's the guy. I love this question. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead, you'd like to spend a day with.
Jesus.
Hey, great answer. When we're off camera, I'll tell you a quick anecdote about that. Powerful stuff. It
I
works.
have so many questions to ask him.
Yeah, yeah, it works. But not now. But great answer. By the way, I would kind of fall into that myself, as that kind of an answer, because why not? I mean, that's
Yeah. I want to know, I want to hear it from the person. I want to know the truth.
yeah.
There's so many different stories.
Well, of course,
I want to hear
great.
it from the horse's mouth.
Just it's a great answer. But anyway, well, off camera. Anyway, moving along. You wrote a pilot, Ugly, which I'm holding up, and it won awards. won a bunch of awards. Let's talk about Ugly. And what was the, the purpose? What were you trying to accomplish with this? And the fact that you did win awards. A lost identity descends in the man. Let's talk about that, Bella.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, this one is really close to my heart. It's about colorism in Hollywood, and the perils of that and how it relates to Black women's identity, which ironically stems back to my PhD dissertation. But it's actually about it's a little biographical to my life as an actress in Hollywood, being a darker skinned actress and trying to navigate and be accepted and just get a leading role. you know, and not picked over because of this of the color of your skin. And so that's why I wrote it, because I've experienced some of those things, going to different auditions for music videos, and they're putting you in the back and they're putting the lighter Black girl in the front and you just treat it crappy.
Wow.
And I thought, well, why not open the conversation again? Because it opens up sometimes, but it's usually very surface. And so this time I wanted to talk about it a little more inward in terms of what that's doing to a Black woman's identity and how she's feeling about herself inside, versus just, oh, she's lighter or she's darker or whatever. And so this character, she's very confused about where she fits in. And so the pilot episode is actually her on a music video set. And I think it's a train coming or something, but I hope it's not interfering with the sound.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
Wait, you have trains in LA? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, no, there's like the city trains.
Okay.
And so anyway, she goes to a music video set, and she gets booked for it, and then when she gets there, it's like this complete disaster. The director treats her really bad, and he puts the lighter skinned girls in the front and puts her in the back, and she just feels really bad about herself, and I just wanted to show that. Wow. And yeah, I actually wrote the whole season, and I was trying to get it picked up as a series. And the pilot episode did really well amongst the film festival circuit. I think it won 7 or 10 awards.
Wow.
And altogether. Wow. And then 2 nominations. And so I was really happy because people were reaching out to me and they said, I'm not Black, but I experienced colorism in the Latino community, or in the Asian community, there's colorism. And so I was really happy about that, because I'm realizing that it's an issue that's just not in the Black community. This kind of spans out all over, and it's good to talk about it. And so Ugly is just it's actually the ugliness of course, the situation, colorism, and then the ugliness that the person feels because they feel like they're ugly and they're not good enough. Because it's not just, I use the music video and that's kind of using it lightly, but there's actually, people that in society get treated bad because of their dark skin. I mean, I'm talking about with certain jobs in the real world. Black women are more likely to get that are darker get assaulted and just things like that, so it is a big issue. I'm using it as it relates to Hollywood, but this issue, it spans across so many different everything. Yeah, everything in other countries.
Yeah, everything.
And so I just wanted to just talk about it. And if you say something's ugly, people will look like, what, and the first thing people say, like, where, you're ugly, what, and I'm like, no, it's just ugly. The whole thing is ugly.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
And yeah, and I want people to.
It's ugly. That's why our species is ugly. As good as we are, we're ugly. I don't want to talk about that because we could go off.
We could go on and on, right?
Oh, we go on and on. Anyway, is there a way? It's the same. Is this floating around YouTube or anything?
Yeah, well, there's I could go right now. I had a premiere for it, and it turned out great. People loved it. And so now the position that I'm in, I'm gonna put it into a movie. And so it's a little fragile right now because I don't want to like put too much out there on it. So instead of making it a series, I'm going to turn it into a movie.
Okay.
And so I got some things going on with that I can't really talk about.
Don't talk.
But yeah, I premiered it you know, when it came out, and it was really good. And but yeah, I have to sort of box it up for a second. But I'm really excited about that.
Hey,
Yeah.
whenever, come back and we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
Help to keep
absolutely.
growing this. I would love to, because I subscribe so much to your emotions, and I have eyes and I have ears, and I see and hear things. And I've been seeing and hearing things for a long, long time, since I was 10,
Oh, wow.
in my own world, dealing with those things and trying to ask questions why, never
Mhm.
getting answers. So
Yeah, I feel this. I feel you on that. I can remember being a kid, just I've always been like ahead of my years, I guess, and I always used to wonder why things were the way that they were. And those things, like normally bad things, you know, like why are these people poor, or why is this community not able to have access to these, you know, resources, or
I,
you know, I was thinking of things like this as a child, as a kid. So
same here. Same here. I would get in
yeah.
these discussions with my mother's pictures over there all the time, and I would ask her why.
Mm-hmm.
About color. Why do they live here, and we live here, and they live there? Why? And of course, my mother, first generation American, couldn't give me really. And I lived with that, and then I wrote about it in my first novel as a kid, trying to
Wow.
understand race, because it didn't make any sense to me. We're just one.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, I got to lighten this a little bit. Another favorite question, because we could plunge into heaviness, which is great, because I love
Mhm.
heavy. I love that. I'm product of the '60s, so I
Mhm.
lived through some interesting times: Vietnam, Dr. King,
Mm.
women's lib. I mean, all these things. I came out of that time period. It's funny. I just interviewed, off topic. I just interviewed my first rap artist, and I when I interviewed him last week, he was just perfectly delightful. It was great.
Nice.
I said, I never listened to rap, and it wasn't cultural. It was the fact that I grew up in the '60s, so all I had to listen to was Peter, Paul, and Mary, and that's all I listened to still to this day. So I then broke my mold, and I listened to rap, so I understood him and his words, and his journey.
Yeah.
And I told him it was like poetry, but anyway, a little segue, because you're in Hollywood. I always like to ask this too, because some of your favorite movies, actors, actresses, directors, just a potpourri of things.
Oh God, I have so many. I really like Spike Lee and what he's done for that silent voice.
Correct.
Um um I like Jordan Peele. Um he's a great one. He's a great writer. Um I'm trying to think.
No pressure. We can.
Oh, okay. Well, I
No
mean, because
pressure.
I could give you I mean, she's not a in Hollywood, but I Patricia Hill Collins, and um geez, just so many.
I know.
Bell
I
Hooks,
huh?
Bell Hooks. But
Okay.
these are authors and scholars. These aren't
That's fine. That's
I was
fine.
like
I'm always looking for, that world, your world, to me is one of the great teachers and motivators, and listen, it's changed my life immeasurably. Film,
hmm
beyond what I would have ever dreamt. It's my love of film, and the messages and stories and the lessons that we get from film, and how
hmm
important it's been in watching. I just watched a documentary, 100 Years of Warner Brothers. Like, wow. I mean, they've been around 100 years. It was a 4-part thing, and
Yeah.
watching them progress socially from
Yeah.
from the times when they were born, little by little by little, and the work they've done socially.
hmm
What a great studio, and that's important to me. The social advances and
Yeah,
the
absolutely. I
progression.
don't know if you're familiar with I think she's a Hollywood writer and director. Gina Prince by the Wood.
No,
And then also the late John Singleton. He's done so much for Black cinema,
yeah,
and that silent voice, and just Boys in the Hood and Higher Learning, and just showing that side of the Black community, you know. So yeah.
yeah. Um, last, kind of like, you've got a bunch of IMDb credits. You want to talk about any of those?
Um
Just to give a little
yeah, I guess
highlight.
yeah, I mean, I've done I did in 2015 I starred in this a film called The Internship Games, and it was pretty fun. It's a comedy, and I really liked it because it was a Black woman director and writer, and it's an independent film, and she just did it, you know. She just produced this great thing. It's like it was a parody of the Hunger Games. So that was pretty cool, and my
Cool,
first starring role. And
cool.
so that was really cool. I've done a lot of print ads and commercials and all those things. And I think one that really stands out, it is sort of thematic for what we're talking about in this interview, was I did a campaign. I was the model for Keep America Beautiful.
I saw
And
that in your reel.
yeah, this was just, I mean, I didn't even know that this campaign existed before I was, booked to do it. And what it is this, they go around and they just clean up America, and they clean up the trash and the waste, and just all of that humanitarian work that I love so much. And I was the face of that. And it's sort of that sort of autobiography. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied, but you know what I'm saying.
Autobiographical, yes,
Yeah, I'm getting
yes.
tongue tied. To my life as well, because that's in my heart. And what chance do you get to do like something in Hollywood that you really feel
Yeah.
passionate about? And so that was just great. That was great.
I remember some years ago, I joined a Gen Z group, and we spent the day at the Jersey Shore cleaning up. It was the middle of
Mm-hmm.
winter, so it was cold.
Mm-hmm.
And we cleaned up plastic and stuff that was thrown out. I spent the whole day. I filled up a whole plastic bag with plastics, stuff and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of Keep America Beautiful. I don't know if that's what it was called, but
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was a great campaign. Oh, and let me add this too.
yes.
They've been around, I think, since the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, because I did some research on them when I got booked for that job, and their campaign, the
Was it a
first
Native
campaign that they,
American?
yeah,
Was it with the
yeah,
tears coming down his
yeah.
eyes?
Oh my God, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I
I
remember
was
that.
so impressed.
I remember that was so powerful.
Yes.
And,
Oh my God.
yeah,
I'm so impressed right now. I'm overwhelmed.
well,
But
good,
yeah, I was
good.
just getting ready to tell you that.
I knew it, by the way, I knew you were going to tell me that. And I remember that so well, uh, because the tears and seeing what happens, what is
Yeah.
happening to America,
Mhm.
and I projected at, and I listen, that was some of my molecules inside me, and now I put together a little climate think tank group. We get together every so often. I just threw something up the other day, a little panel of us climate people from all over the world, mostly
Mhm.
here, obviously, but we
Mhm.
talk about things that are scaring us about climate change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was powerful. And to be a part of that,
yeah,
I
well,
was,
that's wonderful that you were
yeah.
part of that.
Mhm.
So Bella, um, we've we've done some good stuff here, and I cannot thank you enough for this, and I'm so thrilled about. Like I said in the beginning, when I started reading about it, I said, my goodness, there's so many elements of commonality, and that's just great.
So
And
yeah,
you've
we
been
have a lot in
wonderful.
common.
And you've been wonderful. So I'm inviting you to come back. We can come back whenever, and if Ugly moves on to another level, come back. We talk about it. In other words, I have a great sense of loyalty. We're friends now. I'm
Yay.
inviting you to come back and chat. There's so much to chat about. So I can't thank you enough.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you for having me on here. Like I told you before we went on, I said I was so excited to actually talk about, other parts of my life. And you've given me that platform, so I appreciate that.